In today's video, we're going to review a Steady 400.
Hello, James Hogan here with Caley Marina, bringing you the best tips and tools to help build the right Pioneer boat for you.
On this channel, we do Pioneer boat reviews and engine reviews, so you should consider subscribing. If there's any videos that you'd like to see from us in the future, please feel free to comment below. We'll start at the front of the boat. So the hull is made out of medium density polyethylene, and it's actually a flat planing hull, which is important for operating in shallow waters or rivers if you're a rescue vessel. Beneath me you can't actually see, but there's about 6-inch steps on the hull. What that does is it pushes the boat up into the plane, and it helps stop any drag or anything like that happening, giving it efficient performance. This is especially important in Category C waters, which the boat is rated to. So a common feature on most Pioneers is the eye at the front. We like to put a stainless steel shackle on it, or you can get away with a bit of rope. So from the eye you can see the raised section on the bow here, and this can be used as a step to get on and off the boat, or even a seat if you're above the deck here too. As I stand up here, I always like to point out where the condensation bung is on the Pioneer. Over time, water can build up when it gets hotter and colder between the skins. This is normal, so don't worry if there's water between your skins. All you do is just unscrew that front bung there and get a hand pump or something like that just to pump it out. You might have noticed that there's good seating on the Steady 400. You've got the bow seat here, and you've also got the middle seat bench, and we'll talk about the rear later on in the video. It's quite good for your 5 passengers, although a lot of our commercial customers choose to remove the middle bench. It just means they've got the full deck space for their equipment, but it's absolutely fine on there as well if you're planning on taking many people out. We'll transition to the floor now. So there are a couple of nice features on the floor of the Steady 400. You can see there's a channel that runs through the center there. That means for any water that comes on the boat, it filters into that channel and runs out to the back where your bilge pump or your bung holes will let the water exit the boat. You've also got this raised pattern on the floor which helps the water filter in, but also the Steady 400, its main feature is the most stable boat in the Pioneer range, so you want to be able to walk around the deck, stand up, so it's just a nice grip aid for your feet when you're moving around. You can notice on the side of the boat we're a little bit bare. I would recommend having some handrails just for safety, because you've got something to grip onto when you're getting on and off the boat or when you're sat down. But a nice feature of the Steady 400 is you've got these holes from the bottom to the front, so if you don't have handrails you can always thread a bit of rope between these holes here, which means you can clip onto your fenders, and they can act as sort of emergency handrails as well. So you've got a couple of options with the side of the boat. We'll now take you to the back of the boat. So underneath the rear seat bench you've got your fuel locker. It's nice and close to the engine, so it's easy enough to clip onto. So as I sit down here, you notice there's a fire extinguisher, which is obviously a great point if you've got any fuel and engine issues. You've got always got a handy aid there. As I take you to the transom here, you notice that it's got the plate to see what the boat's rated for in terms of the category and C's. An impressive feature of the Steady 400 is you can load it with over a ton of weight on the boat, which makes it really good for any commercial work because you can get a lot of equipment on there. So at the rear here you'll notice that we've got an electric start 40 horsepower Yamaha, which is actually the maximum rated engine that you can put on the Steady 400. Now if you saw our promotional video, you'll see that the 40 on a 400 gives it a hell of a performance. You can reduce it down to 25 or 30 and you'll still be get ample performance out of it, but yeah, you can have some fun with the 40. So as I lower the tiller arm here, there's a couple of nice features I can show you. For the electric start, you just put your key in the ignition and your kill cord on, and it just turns like that, which is a lot easier than having to manually start the engine. You've got your forward and reverse gear too, which makes it very easy to maneuver. We haven't actually built the feature into the engine, but you can get electric trim and tilt. It's quite a heavy engine to lift up and down, so I probably would recommend that if you were going for something as big as a 40. And of course you've got your throttle as well for manoeuvring the boat just at the end of the tiller arm. So underneath the tiller arm we've got your battery box. We actually fix this to a bracket so it's above the transom well and away from any water, but we've also got the waterproof box there with the isolator switch so your battery doesn't run the whole time even if you're not using it, saving it from draining. The batteries to help with the electric start on the engine, but also your build pump. Now all Pioneers are self-draining, but for certain models like the Steady 400 we like to put a build pump in there just to encourage more water to head out the back, because it's got to raise to a certain level before it drains out the back there. And finally, underneath the tiller arm again you've got your fuel water separator just to keep your fuel clean. So you might notice on the Build Your Own Boat simulator there's a couple of things that are missing, an A-frame and a console from this boat here, because we've gone for the tiller steer. The A-frame is an important safety feature because you get your navigation and anchor lights as standard with it. You can also put an aerial if you're planning on having an inbuilt radio on the boat, as well as a radar reflector, so you're nice and safe and seen on the water. The reason I like a console as well is because it's similar to driving a car, and it's just a bit more comfortable if you're using the boat for sort of long journeys at a time. You're just sitting there with your steering wheel, you can have any electronics that you need, and for me it's just an easier way to boat than using the tiller. One of the strongest features of the Steady 400 is the fact that it's so stable, it's like standing on a pontoon. To help demonstrate this, we brought in a team from Caley Cruisers and we're going to show you how. And this is Pioneer's most stable boat. So I've slackened the ropes just to give you a few tests to show how stable this boat really is. So we'll first start rocking just to show. So although there is some movement, you'd really struggle to capsize this thing. Even if we all move to one side like this and put all our weight here, the boat again hardly shifts from its position. I mean, you can even again walk to the other side. Again, look, the boat is still very stable. And that's our Steady 400. To find out more information about Pioneer boats, please visit our website at www.pioneerboat.co.uk, where you can find your local dealer as well as any pricing.
To learn more tips and tools about Pioneer boats and how to build and buy the right boat for you, consider subscribing.